Okay. Okay, good evening. We will call to order the regular monthly meeting of the City of Helotes Planning and Zoning Commission. It is June 6th, 7:05 p.m. I'll ask the interim secretary to call the roll, please.
Greg Michelle.
Here.
Ms. Whiteman.
Here.
And Caraway.
Here.
And Alex is here. And Buck Russell is not.
And also Michael Gallardo from staff and our council liaison, David Cato. First item tonight is a public hearing to give all interested persons the right to appear and be heard on a request by Michael and Catherine Arena to set the official zoning classification as office professional district B1 for 4.5528 acres of newly annexed property at FM 1560 near its intersection with Broad Road. We will open the public hearing at 7:06. There is no one in chambers this evening to speak to this, so we will close the public hearing without any speakers. Citizens to be heard. Again, no one in chambers tonight, so we will skip that item. And we will move to item 5, which is discussion and action on the election of commission officers to include the following: chair, vice chair, and secretary. I open the floor for nominations for these roles.
I nominate Greg Michael for chairman.
Michelle.
Michelle, I'm sorry. Greg Michelle for chairman.
Any other nominees for chair? Vice chair nominations.
I nominate Jason Whiteman. Did I pronounce that correctly? For vice chairman.
Any other nominees for vice chair? Hearing none. Any nominees for secretary? Guess this is falling to you, Ann.
Oh, I'm sorry. The
Nominate-
nomination for secretary, I nominate Alex Blue.
Any other nominees for secretary? Hearing none, we have a slate of Greg Michelle for chair, Jason Whiteman for vice chair, Alex Blue for secretary for the commission. All in favor? Well, yes, all in favor of this. Do we need a motion for this? I don't think we do.
Approval item.
Well, let's have a motion. Let's just be clear. Is there a motion for the slate that's been presented of nominees for commission officers? I need somebody to make the motion. You make the motion.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the nominations.
Thank you. And second.
I second that motion.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the nominated slate of commission officers, Greg Michelle as chairman and Jason Whiteman as vice chairman and Alex Blue as secretary. So all in favor, please signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed. So the motion is approved and this is the new slate of officers for P&Z.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
I don't know how we can celebrate or what. But anyway, number 6, discussion and action on the minutes to the special meeting on May 16th, 2023. You have the minutes in your materials. If there are any corrections or edits, call those to our attention. I had one, Michael, and I don't know if you remember this, did not Jen Sones come late to that meeting? Does anybody recall, Michael or anyone? Or am I misremembering?
No, I think she made it on time.
You do think she was here?
Yes, because I
I
remember
think she-
speaking to her before because I was having technical difficulties and I remember
Okay,
speaking to her.
can we add that to the minutes? That the liaison was present for that.
Oh, the minutes show that she wasn't?
Yeah, she's not.
They don't have her name
Right.
listed.
And she was here.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah.
So the copy you were supplied with doesn't have her on there?
No.
Okay.
I'll pencil it in here, but SONES, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so that's a change to make to the minutes. If there are any other changes or edits, please let us know, or we can have a motion for the minutes reflecting this change.
Mr. Chairman, with your correction, I would make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Motion is to approve the minutes of the May 16th, 2023 special meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission with the change to include Jen Zones as being present as the council liaison. All in favor of the motion to approve the minutes, signal aye.
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 Opposed? Minutes are approved. Our next item tonight, number 7, is discussion and action on the request by Michael and Catherine Arena to set the official zoning classification as office and professional district B1 for 4.5528 acres of newly annexed property located at FM 1560 near its intersection with Braun Road. Michael, is there anything additional from or anything in particular that staff would want to call our attention to with this item?
No, sir.
Okay. Open the floor to discussion, comment, or questions for staff regarding this item?
I do have a question possibly for staff. When we do a B1 on that, and historically it's kind of been a pyramid for use, where B1 is the most used, you can go all the way down. So in other words, if a person were to want to build a house on there, even maybe they want to connect the house to their business there, they would be allowed to do that. Is that correct? Even though it's designated B1?
Right.
Right. Okay. Because it follows. Yeah. B1 would be the
Residential.
highest level that you can do it, but
Actually, B1 is the lowest of the business levels.
Meaning most
But-
restrictive.
But
yeah, most restrictive, like the pyramid.
But residential is permitted in every zoning we have in the city.
Yeah,
According to
that's-
schedule uses.
Okay, that came up in an issue recently, so I wanted to make sure. Okay, and I live right by there, so I'm aware that there's other businesses on that street and across from it. And no one's here to oppose it.
No.
Sent out the notices. I don't have any problem with the B1 designation.
Jason or Alex, any
It's,
discussion?
I have one question and one comment. The comment was that, that looking at the zoning map, looking at the existing uses that surround the property, it all appears to be pretty consistent with B1 use.
Yes.
There seems to be businesses on all sides and across the street. My one question would be more from my own point of reference. It does abut a ETJ's non-zoned properties as well. And I know that there is a buffer requirements for B1 from down lesser zones, obviously, I think 100 feet from R1 uses. Is there any buffer required for that ETJ properties that are non-zoned, or is it just the minimum?
It should be the minimum only because those aren't zoned because they fall in the county.
Okay.
Even though it's part of the Helotes CDJ, we only have jurisdiction over the TIA, vegetation and signage, obviously, but it's going to be the minimum because, again, it'll go based on what Bear County approves or disapproves.
Okay.
I would add to that, though, that the buffer is between any business or commercial property and residential property is a certain distance or an 8-foot privacy fence. So
Yes,
it could be an 8-foot privacy fence as well and would still meet the requirement. Should one of the neighbors eventually choose to be annexed, this property would still be a pre-existing one, so they probably wouldn't be forced to add a fence later. But a fence will work as well as a distance requirement.
Okay.
And my only comment on this was I was actually surprised that they wanted to go with the B1 instead of something a little more extensive use. And even though I know how they plan to use it, but to request the lowest use,
Right.
I mean, it to me, I would think that they would have gone to a B2 or B3, given that it's on a major highway, and then still use it for less, but then they have the ability to add anything later. But if they're only asking for B1, I don't have a problem with it.
Right, and I think the other curious thing is you would, without looking, I don't think would expect this type of business to have been slotted as B1.
Yeah.
Being a retail business with supplies and whatnot. You would probably not have predicted that, but at any rate, that's what it is.
Yeah.
We could have a motion at this point for this is number 7.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will do make a motion.
And it's a
to-
recommendation.
Right.
Thanks.
A motion to recommend approval of the request by Michael and Catherine Arena to set the official zoning classification as office and professional district B1 for 4.5528 acres of newly annexed property located on FM 1560 near its intersection with Braun Road and described as BCAD property ID number 236993.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Jason on the second. Ann, anything further?
No.
Jason?
No.
Alex? So the motion is to recommend approval of the request by Michael and Catherine Arena to set the official zoning classification as office and professional district B1 for 4.5528 acres of newly annexed property on FM 1560 near its intersection with Braun Road. All in favor, please signal aye.
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 Opposed, this motion is approved. And we'll go to city council, I gather, at its next meeting, Michael, is that right?
Correct.
Which is this week.
Yes, on the
Yeah,
8th.
Thursday, the 8th. All right, number 8 tonight, discussion and action on a request by Southwest Texas Sign Service for approval of a wall sign pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, Section 51, that is signs, commercial signs projecting wall and hanging garner on windows for Christus Trinity Clinic located at 12340 Bandera Road. Michael, anything beyond what we already have on this one?
So this is the multi-tenant strip, which, we mentioned before, we're working with the property owners in property management team to come up with a master sign plan at this time, but for the sake of this particular item, they're just refacing an existing, the tenant is basically changing the name.
Can you go up, can you show there's a diagram of it?
Yep.
There we go. So is it the same hardware? Everything is the same except for the,
Correct. The face is going to be a different color.
and is it, this wasn't marked on the application, I couldn't tell. Is it an illuminated sign?
I believe, let me check.
Or if anyone,
It says internally illuminated.
Yeah, it is.
it does say
It
that.
is marked on there.
Yep. We should have on the agenda. Internally, it's eliminated.
But their application, I don't believe has it checked off. That's what I think.
It's been
Yeah,
confirmed.
you're right.
Let
It says face replacement only.
me see. It's
So one would assume if it currently is illuminated, it will remain illuminated.
correct.
Okay.
Oh, because the face replacement only. The only thing I had, and I'm sorry no one is here to discuss this, but I think you might have a little trouble understanding what kind of clinic it is. If they're doing the cardiovascular, it's like Christus Trinity Clinic. I mean, they may be getting a lot of walk-ons for just any kind of medical ailment. And they say in there that they are doing only cardiovascular and heart. So I think that's going to be a little tough. Because we do have a lot of walk-ins in Helotes because it's close and that's in a multi-tenant building. I don't know. Maybe they're just going to send people there and they're not going to take.
Yeah, I'm just thinking based on the previous sign, it's probably something that where patients are recommended or referred to that location. Not necessarily,
Yeah, like
where you sign up and just pick your own doctor.
Like a little satellite location. It sounds like they're from Braunfels. Is that what I saw? Okay.
Alex or Jason, anything on this one?
No, sir.
All right, a motion would be appropriate.
Second. Okay, this is an approval, so I move to approve the request by Southwest Texas Sign Service, Inc. for approval of a wall sign pursuant to Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, signs, Section 66-51, commercial signs projecting wall and hanging or in or on windows for Christus Trinity Clinic located at 12340 Bandera Road, Helotes, Texas, 78023, and identified as BCAD ID number 1040-214.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Anything further on the motion?
No.
And the motion is to approve the request by Southwest Texas Sign Service, a wall sign pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66 signs, Section 51, commercial signs projecting wall and hanging earner on windows for Christus Trinity Clinic at 12340 Bandera Road. All in favor, please signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion is approved. Number 9 this evening is discussion and action on a request by Britton Lift and Installation for approval of signage for public storage located at 12260 Bandera Road, 78023, Helotes, including the following: wall sign pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66 signs, Section 51, commercial signs, projecting wall and hanging earner on windows. And B, monument sign pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66 signs, Section 49, commercial signs, single business use. Michael, anything that you'd like to bring to the attention of the commission, or?
So other than it's been an existing sign prior to the code,
Sorry, say again.
other than it's been an existing sign prior to the code,
You're talking about the,
legal non-conforming.
okay. Do you know why it is listed here as a monument sign as opposed to a non-conforming sign in the caption?
Because I guess that's the intent. I mean, that's the only way we can categorize it, as for the fact that it's non-conforming.
So instead of, it could be called non-conforming, but it's intentionally called monument sign. It's not a monument sign.
Correct.
We're in agreement on that. Okay. Open the floor to comment, questions, discussion to the commission.
Mr. Chairman, if I could make a request that we separate A and B in this discussion,
That'd be fine.
and that way we can handle them separately, because they are two different scenarios, if you do.
So if we handle section A or item A first, any discussion, comments, questions about item A?
Okay, so to be clear on that item A, rental office is going to replace that public storage sign in the front. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and it's going to be the same size?
It's actually a little bit smaller.
Okay, that's what it looks like.
Anything further on item A? Alex, did you want to propose that we have separate motions here? Is that what your intent was?
Yes, that is my intent.
So I would invite a motion then on 9A.
Okay,
Excuse me.
find it here. Okay. And that is an approval item?
Yes.
So, I move to approve the wall sign pursuant to municipal, well, I guess I better start a little
Yeah.
sooner there, sorry.
That's all right.
I'm going to move to approve the request by Breton Lift and Installation for approval of the signage for public storage located at 12260 Bandera Road, Helotes, Texas, 78023, identified as BCAD number 239333, portion A, which is the wall sign pursuant to Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66 signs, Section 66-51, commercial signs projecting wall and hanging or in or on windows.
Thank you. That's a lot there. Is there a second?
I'll second.
So discussion about the wall sign, which is 9A. Anything on the motion further? Ann,
No.
Jason, Alex?
No, sir.
So the motion is to approve the request by Britton Lift and Installation of the signage for public storage located at 12260 Bandera Road, in particular wall sign, the wall sign pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, signs, Section 51, commercial signs, projecting wall and hanging earner on windows. All in favor of this motion, signal aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion is approved. Okay, we'll move to the discussion of item B, 9B, which is for what is labeled as a monument sign. Would you bring up the image of the, yeah, thank you. Thank you, that one, Michael. Okay. So discussion, comments, questions. I've asked about why it's called a monument sign when it's clearly not a monument sign. And Michael, is it clear that the changes that are being made here is essentially a resurfacing of this face?
Yes, so it's definitely just gonna be resurfacing. The pole will probably be painted white. The
Painted,
pole will be painted.
Is this two-sided?
Yes,
So both sides will be
refaced.
refaced, okay?
So back to what you were saying about it's really not a monument sign. So are we just, was it called the monument sign before? I'm not clear on why.
So it's a conforming pole sign because it was here before code. The reason staff suggested that they put it under as the monument sign because that's its intent, with the understanding obviously that it's not a monument sign.
If this sign, Michael, had collapsed in a storm, would they be able to reinstall it?
No, it would have to conform at that point.
Okay.
Yep.
And if they are changing, they're not changing the sign, they're just redoing that face.
Correct. As long as they're not making any structural changes, they can reface it. Okay, and what I mean by structural changes, size and
Right.
things of that.
Then it would seem to me that this would not be an item that would require any sort of commission, or for that matter, council approval, because there's nothing that's being changed from the non-conforming status that it has that would require that type of approval.
So I guess it's just a matter of dotting the i's and crossing the t's and process, but I would more or less agree with that statement.
Mr. Chairman, if I would, I think the dilemma that we have here is the fact that the interpretation of our code with regard to a sign that is classified as a non-conforming sign, and that's what this is. It's not really a monument sign. There isn't anything in our code that allows for it, but it's there legally because it predates the code that would otherwise have restricted it. So it's non-conforming. And in the code, where it refers to non-conforming signs, it specifically states that if this non-conforming sign is destroyed, falls over, or, and this is the other relevant note, is dismantled for any other reason, for any reason other than just resurfacing or changing the lettering, then it cannot be rebuilt. But all they're doing is resurfacing and changing the lettering. Therefore, in my opinion, this does not eliminate its ability to remain a non-conforming sign. I'm concerned that if we approve it, then it's no longer a non-conforming sign, and should they want to do something else to it, then they have our automatic approval to do so. I think it should remain as a non-conforming sign and allow staff to act in that way in the ordinance that says it will remain a non-conforming sign, and they could just resurface it and change the lettering on it. They're not making any change for structural, material, or size, or shape, or pole. All they're really doing is painting and putting in a different set of letters on the existing sign. So the only thing I see is three options. One is to approve it, which I'm not in favor of, because I think then it would give validity to a sign that's otherwise non-conforming. Two, to deny it, which I don't think is our purview, because it's already an existing non-conforming sign. We can't require them to take it down. Or three, I think we say that it's staff's authority to handle it and as a refurbishing of an existing non-conforming sign. Those are the three things I see. And I just thought I'd throw that out for other comment.
Yeah, I'm actually uncomfortable too with calling it the monument. So I like your option of, the non-conforming refurbishing. Unless they were to dismantle it, which I don't think they're going to take that off to refurbish it, are they?
No.
Interestingly enough, if they take the top part off, they would be dismantling it. But anyway, so,
But the code says that even dismantling it for the purpose of changing lettering is still acceptable.
okay.
Would we be comfortable perhaps with a motion stating that it's refurbishing a non-conforming sign? And that's the, the only reason we're allowing it to move forward is this, and, any further thing, we're allowing this minimal intervention in a non-conforming sign, and that's it.
Yeah, without consenting to any other
Yeah.
language proposed.
And how would that motion sound?
Well,
That doesn't lock us into something that we're not ready to do.
well, let's see. Let me look at it. We could say something about that we approve the sign to the extent that it is the refurbishing or the refacing of a non-conforming sign, to the extent of, which kind of eliminates us saying that it's approved for anything else. I don't feel comfortable approving it as a monument sign because it's really not. But I understand why it was listed that way because there's no category. But I mean, we've got to have some kind of, I think, some kind of categorization of these signs that we all must come across them before, that predate, but just are touching them up. Or how should we, is it refurbish or reface, or what kind of language is appropriate, or do you see
I
most
would-
often?
I would recommend actually pushing this over to staff as opposed to putting it in a motion. Because I think that it's for what it is, both the fact that it's clearly not a monument sign, obviously, but also because you're allowed to maintain an existing non-conforming sign, which is what this would be classified as doing. I'm sympathetic to the view that this is not something that requires our action. If city leaders, city attorney disagree with that, they can come back with it and we'll do what we need to do. But I think that I do want to be sensitive to, do we, by approving anything with a non-conforming sign, we're somehow giving it our approval for its non-conforming status, when in reality, what we would like is for it to be compliant with what code is. Not telling them to take it down, obviously, that's not the point, but if you're asking for this commission's sense, it would be that it should conform generally. is what we would say.
But if we decide not to look at these signs, how can we determine that they truly are just refacing and?
Well, that's staff's function.
Code enforcement. I mean, do you feel comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable with that too. I just wonder, what is the mechanism by which we do that?
I don't think we need, well, that's a good question. I don't know that we need a motion. I mean, we could postpone action on this and till later date if necessary. But really, we're saying our determination is based on what we have before us, that this is a staff item, not one that requires commission action. I'm perfectly understanding that, say, the city attorney would maybe disagree with that and instruct us that we in fact do have to address it, and fine. But I think that the first step would be to say that this is a maintenance issue.
Okay, but what I don't want to start happening is that, we don't get this before us on all the signs that predated, that were non-conforming. Don't we want to look at some of those non-conforming to make sure that the changes to them are not beyond what's allowed? I guess that's what I'm saying.
Well, that's why the code is specific as to what scenarios require it to conform and what scenarios allow it to remain a non-conforming sign. And then very specific guidelines. It says destroyed, falls over, or disassembled for reasons other than the specific things. It's very clear on what is considered acceptable in a non-conforming sign that doesn't require it to come for approval and conformation, and making it conform. It's very clear, and that's why we were looking at this and saying it fits exactly within the definition of a non-conforming sign that's allowed to be refurbished or refreshed, if you wish, and not have to conform.
So are
If
we
it comes
saying
here,
that
we're basically going to have to say, does it conform, approve or deny?
so we're not supposed to look at any non-conforming signs that are being refaced or something? Is that, but
We haven't in the past. This is the first one that's come up that I'm aware
Well, as a hypothetical, to my recollection, we have not.
okay.
That is right. But here, as a hypothetical, this is sort of now arguing the other side, Alex. If they had said, we're going to resurface that existing sign and we'd like it to say public storage in magenta with polka dot background, you know, they make it something that wouldn't at all mimic what's already there now. It'd be something that would be refurbished. They're maintaining it. They're changing the letters. And yet they're doing it with a color scheme that many people would find objectionable. I mean, is that something that we are passing on if we don't act in a way that gives some sort of stamp of review or approval to this?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I'm wondering if we should just say that this constitutes a change that is allowed to a non-conforming, and send it to the staff if you don't want to change the language, you know, and then at least the staff brings it to us first and we can send it back to them if we feel like it's not outside, you know, the parameters of what's allowed. I mean, let me see.
I wonder if our council liaison has any thoughts about this that might be helpful to put you on the spot, David.
I would probably send it back. I wouldn't vote on it. I mean, if you're not comfortable with it, it doesn't meet the requirements of if you vote. I wouldn't vote.
Yet, anyway.
What if we made a motion to approve the proposed changes to the non-conforming pole sign with the condition that the record reflected it remain a non-conforming sign?
Okay,
Think
should,
that makes you, are you comfortable with that statement, or do you
should
think?
we specifically state that it's not a monument sign in there?
We do.
In
Well,
non-conforming.
if they're calling it a non-conforming pole sign with the condition that it remain listed as a non-conforming sign.
I'm okay with that.
I would still,
Yeah.
I mean, I agree because I agree that that is in a sense what we are talking about here. But I think the larger principle that's underlying this discussion is that this is a non-conforming sign and it's a maintenance issue with the non-conforming sign and therefore come before this group. And if that interpretation, which I think most of us are sympathetic to, if that's wrong, then I think then we come back to language similar to what Alex just read, something along the lines of maintaining a non-conforming sign is what we're approving.
I like
But
the
that's-
word, I like the word maintaining. I do. I like that better than, because it can come in different. Let's see. Well, that's not really maintaining it though.
Sure is. It's a type of maintenance.
Yeah, oh yeah. I guess if it's faded and worn and then you're maintaining it by,
Substantially changing it. Are they substantially changing it? There is not.
Appears not true. You're comfortable with this? I mean, only takes 3.
yeah, no, I'm.
What if the motion
make
then were to
motion.
refer the item to Development Services to take action on the request as per code?
Administratively, I'm comfortable doing that.
What's that?
I'm comfortable doing that.
That accomplishes the same thing.
It does. If you really want a motion as opposed to just not taking action. I mean, that depends on, I mean, it depends. If you just want to not take action, then you
Understood.
feel like you've got to respond to something that they're doing, because if I'm not mistaken, requests that come to planning and zoning that are not acted upon within a certain amount of time are automatically approved.
But we don't want that to happen because then it will.
You have to act, or
it
lack
will
of action
approve it
becomes
as a monument
an
sign.
approval.
To be clear, I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah,
Just
we are.
codifying in terms of a motion to refer this to staff is essentially what we're doing.
Right.
And if that proves insufficient for whatever reason, then we could have a motion at the next meeting to address it on its merits, if you will, from this group.
So it shows up
Yeah.
again.
So let me ask you, Alex, to make that motion, if you would.
Mhm.
This is 9B.
I don't have all of the wording on this.
Here.
You may bring it up now.
Oh, I got it.
Ann's got it right there.
I gotta get past the legalese.
You got it?
All right, so regarding discussion and action on a request for Britton Lift and installation for approval of signage for public storage located at 12260 Bandera Road. Item B. Move to refer the item to Development Services to take action on the request as per municipal code.
Is there a second for the motion?
I'll second.
Discussion of the motion, Alex.
No, sir.
Jason.
I think it's a good motion.
I'm good. It's good.
The motion is to approve, the motion on the request by Britton and Lift installation for approval of signage for public storage located at 12260 Bandera Road. The motion is to refer to Development Services to take action as on the request per code regarding the monument sign per chapter 66 signs, section 49, commercial signs, single business use monument type. All in favor of the motion, signal aye.
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 Opposed? This motion is approved. Thank you all for helping work through that. We have two staff report items. The first one is regarding the refacing of the existing sign that identifies the Old Town Helotes Special District located on State Highway 16. So Michael, I'll turn this over to you.
So basically, this is the existing Old Town Helotes sign, which will be, would change its look, with voted upon by the Economic Development Committee. And this is what the new look's gonna look like.
Okay, and so I just have
Yeah.
a question. Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna jump right in there. I don't understand why this is just an information item and that we do not have it for approval and discussion. And if there's some code section that says, you know, I thought we were doing that for all signs and that is within our purview. Is there some part of the code that says, I know we talked earlier about it being because it's a city sign? I don't know. Can you find that for me or?
Yes, that's something I can definitely research send to you, but that's my understanding, that it is a city sign. So
Yeah, I don't understand that at all because so now is the EDC get to decide signs? I'm just kind of surprised it's just an information thing, like, you know, we're not supposed to, we're just being informed about it, even though it's a sign and it's an important sign. It leaves out Old Town Helotes, it leaves out music, and it gives it a different, it's totally like, if I entered San Antonio or somewhere, I don't think I'd find a sign like this, but we have an old town, just like a lot of big cities do. And it's very important that we have that old town. Everybody always says, oh yeah, let's go to Old Town Helotes, or not everybody, but you know what I'm saying? That's a destination. So I'm kind of worried about this just saying, hey, visit Helotes. When you hit this sign, you're already in Helotes. You passed the city limits. I'm not understanding the change in the language. I understand doing a new sign, but it leaves out Old Town Helotes. It leaves out music, which is, you know, one of our main Floors Country Store. It's just kind of strange to me. So
Michael, can you, while we talk here, can you just go to the code where I
Yeah.
believe you'll, and Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that there should be a section in there if that would speak to this.
I mean, is this
As a
going to the
municipal sign.
council?
It either does or it doesn't, but it have to be.
Yeah.
The one other thing I'd mention that is, if we treat this as a typical sign, we normally wouldn't have input on this body in terms of its content.
Yeah.
Right, so if it says, like, you want music, just as an example, that you think that ought to be there, that typically wouldn't be in our purview to speak to.
Yeah, and I
So you gotta be
understand.
careful with that.
I totally understand about that, but it would be in our purview to say that the sign's supposed to indicate where it's going. I mean, like, for instance, it's mislabeled if it just says Helotes and it doesn't say Old Town Helotes, because it's doing the arrow to Old Town Helotes. Unless we're like, you know, that's my, you know, you should be identifying the place you're going to.
Actually, it's the arrow that says point parking.
Yeah.
It doesn't even-
I'm just, you know, if you're telling me that, I just want to see if it's true that the P&Z has no jurisdiction at all over any sign, city sign, if, you know, then I'd like to know that. I didn't know, you know, let's look at. the
Jason
codes.
or Alex, do you have recollection of this? I'm remembering signage here on this property. It's called, just don't.
I think we had this, I think we actually approved the original sign for this. I want to say because I know there was some discussion about it. It was it was sort of technically under the creative sign ordinance. I think there was some discussion about it. I don't remember the exact.
I'd like to see if we can find those minutes. I think, I mean, this is really hits home to me because one of the greatest parts of our city is Old Town Helotes. And I don't even know if the people who have, you know, places there know about this sign. Obviously they don't. I don't think they'd be happy with it. You know, we just got through putting a bunch of historical markers up about Old Town Helotes, and now we're just like getting rid of Old Town sign. I mean, it's just strange. I'd like to have some input in this if it's allowed by code. If the EDC is in charge of all these signs and we don't have that purview, then I'd like to see where, that's all. If I'm out of line, that's fine. Just show me that I'm out of line.
So, well, it's a staff report item, so it's not even an action item, but I think.
No, I understand, but I guess I'm contesting it being a staff report item without any.
So we would ask then that, I think we could fairly say that we'd like staff to research this to
Correct.
verify that it
Yeah.
does not need, as a municipal sign, that it is exempt from the normal sign approval process. The sign's not erected yet, correct?
No,
I mean, it seems odd that we wouldn't have any say in it if it's a sign with as much significance as this. I don't know, you know, so we'll see. Okay.
It's a lot. of
Nothing against you,
interesting-
Michael.
right.
I'm
It's a lot
just-
of interesting
I-
discussion on that. I agree. Actually, if you scroll down just a little bit, Michael, you'll see that apparently this was option number one.
yes,
We're obviously not purview to options other than one.
right.
So presumably there were others, and I don't know. It's an interesting question as to one, whether or not council has had a chance to look at this and whether they did or didn't, which more preempts us or not.
Oh, they have not looked at this.
But it is an interesting thing. I don't know whether we have signs or don't have signs at the city park. I presume we have some signs here at the little playground behind this building. I don't recall any of them coming here. I don't remember whether or not
You know, park's a little different. I mean,
it's a sign.
yeah, but
It's a matter of whether the sign that The content of the sign is what you're talking about.
Well,
The
not,
fact that
not,
it's a sign is a different story.
not just the
right?
contents, I'm talking
Oh.
about it, the identification of what it's, it's pointing, but anyway, what I would like to find out, Michael, if you can,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
who voted on the original? Okay, and has the law changed?
Let me go over here, Jason.
Yeah, that actually did now that my memory is starting to turn a little bit, I think what happened was it was a very similar item in which it was an informational thing, but we actually were asked to vote not as a actual municipal action item, but they actually just wanted our opinion as a board. We got to pick, like, hey, you guys have any input on which of these options you prefer to see, just as a board, just as a courtesy.
You're talking about the
The first sign, yeah.
But did that sign go to the city council?
I don't think so. I think it was just
I
I
mean,
think the argument was that it was exempt because it was a quote unquote city sign, but they just asked for our input on the design.
So can we do this?
Yeah,
Michael,
so-
would you please, for the next meeting, have it as a staff report for the next meeting on what you find on whether what the process was by which this was approved, verify that it's exempt from P&Z oversight?
And city council, because it's not going to them either, is it, Michael?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay, so it's
I
not
believe it's
going to
going to
city
them as a-
council, it's not going to us, I'd like to know.
I believe it's going to them as a staff report as well.
So let's find out. I mean, it's
Staff
you
report
know,
is fine.
EDC, just like P&Z has its purview in certain areas, EDC may have the same, so we'll see what we learn.
We don't get final, I mean, we don't have approval on too many things, so that's why I'm kind of curious, but anyway.
Okay, next item, number 11 is Michael regarding a special meeting of this body.
Yes. So our next scheduled meeting falls on the 4th of July holiday, so we pushed it over to the following week, which would be on the July 11th.
Okay. So mark your calendars. Will you ensure that Mr. Russell is aware of the
Correct.
date?
We will.
Okay.
Okay, that brings us to the close of our agenda. We typically have had a motion to go out, but I think with the change in composition, I think we can just end the meeting. I don't think we need a formal motion. Michael, do we need a formal motion to adjourn? Did you guys at council have a formal motion to adjourn?
He's only been to one meeting.
The mayor just declares the
Yeah.
meeting adjourned.
It's weird, but I'm gonna do it.
You do it. All right, Greg.
I'm gonna declare us adjourned at 7:52. Very unnatural thing to do. Thank you all. Make sure you catch your lights.
you.
Michael, are we off?
Yes.